Hey TuVous peeps, are you so excited? It is such an awesome time of year. I love a new year because it's an opportunity to kind of renew, to recreate myself, to set goals and work to achieve those goals. And it's a time when I feel like I can become a different person, become a better version of myself. I don't know what it is about the new year, but it gets me excited about everything that's going to happen. And I've seen some of your posts on Facebook, and I know you get excited about those things too. So I want to take some time today and talk about setting goals. I remember when I was a young man, just out of college, I felt a little bit like I do now. With a new year and a new start, and I was just getting done with college, and I wanted to set a crazy goal for myself. And I had just been working as a carpet cleaner part-time. I was going to school. I had just finished my degree in English literature. Ask me what I was going to do with that. I don't know. And I just got my first full-time job at a call center, working with some answering questions about investments. And this call center job paid me $31,000 per year. So I had my first full-time job. I was super excited. Not a lot of expenses. Life was pretty darn good. And I did something that changed my life forever. I set a crazy goal. I was 23 years old at the time, and I set this crazy goal that I was going to make $100,000 per year by the time I was 25. Now, that meant in 2 years, I was going to go from $31,000 a year to $100,000 a year. Now, I had no idea how I was going to do that, but I was passionate about this. See, I grew up on a farm in Kansas, and my parents never had money. I had an amazing childhood, but money wasn't a part of it. I never got to go to Disneyland. I never got to go on vacation. I never got to do some of the things that I saw money did for other people, and I decided I wanted that in my life, and I wanted it for my kids. And so I set this crazy goal. And I later learned a term called a BHAG, which stands for Big, Hairy, Audacious Goal. And I had set a BHAG, and I didn't even know it. All I knew is I wanted a different life than I had seen my parents have. So what I didn't understand then that I later figured out is I did some things really smart when I set this goal. So again, the goal that I set was I was going to make $100,000 per year by the time I was 25. So in 2 years, I was going to go from $31,000 to $100,000. There are 3 key things that I did when setting this goal, whether I knew it or not. But we know now. 1, I was passionate. I knew I wanted money, and even though that may not be the best goal for some people, that was the goal that I had, and I was passionate about achieving it. 2, I went big. I wasn't focused on the how. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I just knew what I wanted to achieve. And I allowed my ignorance of how difficult that goal may be to actually help me. 3, I created a deadline. That changed everything for me. If I would have said, I want to be a millionaire someday. Have you ever heard somebody say that? It doesn't do much to help you achieve your goal. Someday doesn't get you anywhere. So the fact that I had said by the time I was 25, in 2 years I wanted to achieve this, that was the key thing that changed everything after that. So let's talk for a second about why these things are important. If you're passionate about your goal, you'll obsess over it. It will be part of every thought, every waking moment. You'll constantly be asking yourself, how do I achieve this? What do I need to do? And what's amazing is when we are passionately positive, the world aligns in our favor. When we start looking for answers, the world will give them to us. But only if you're passionate, only if it's something that is just swelling inside of you with excitement that you want this And it may be you want some financial independence. It may be that you want your husband or your wife to not have to work anymore. It may be that you want to take your kids on that vacation to Disneyland. It doesn't matter what that goal is, but be passionate about it. It will change everything, and it will give you the power when the world starts, when people start coming out of the woodwork to tell you you can't, because they will. It's your passion that will tell you that they're crazy and not you. So that's why that's so important. The second is you got to go big. To set some mediocre goal isn't going to drive you to think different. And I'm telling you, if you want to be different, you got to think different. It's part of the makeup of our brain chemistry. Our brain is the most amazing computer and the most amazing tool that you have at your disposal. And so many of us don't use it. Your brain will answer any question that you give it. If you ask the question, what are all the things that are going to go wrong in my day today? Your brain is going to come up with 20 things that are going to go wrong in your day today. And you know what? I guess that most of all those 20 things will happen. If you, on the other hand, ask your brain, what is one thing that I can do to move closer to my goal today? Guess what? Your brain will give you one. If you ask for 5, it'll give you 5. So changing the quality of the questions that you ask yourself, like we talked about last week, is a key to your success in achieving your goals. 3, we already talked about. You got to create a deadline. You have to have a reason, and it's got to be tight. It's got to force you to be like, man, this is coming. I've got to move. I've got to change. I've got to go a different direction. Those are the key things as you look at your New Year's resolutions, as you want to reinvent yourself. You have that opportunity. Be passionate. Go big. Make it a deadline. Now, some of you may want to turn this off and go set your goals and start working towards it. Go! Do it! I'm proud of you. Some of you may want to know, what about my story? Did I do it? Well, let me tell you. I had tons of obstacles, tons of people trying to tell me that I was crazy. As I told my wife about my goal, and she'd be like, you're just a farm boy from Kansas. You don't have those kinds of skills. I'm okay. I married you because of who you are. I don't need you to be that person. She would make fun of me to my family members about it. Bruce is at this crazy goal. Right? But I had set this goal. And what I knew that I wasn't going to achieve it overnight. I knew that I wasn't going to go in one jump from 31,000 to 100,000. And so I knew I had to find a path. And because I was passionate about this and I was thinking about it all the time, there were constantly different things coming to me. There were job opportunities that were given to me as I was thinking about this. And I looked at that job opportunity and I said, will that job get me there? And I would project out in my mind, and if I saw that it wasn't going to get me there, I'd say no thanks. Within my company that I was working in, I found a path. I found that there were people who had jobs as what they called financial representatives, people who advised other people on their investments, and that those people made commission. And commission was the key. I could have a small base but make a lot of commission, and I knew that was how I could achieve my goal. So I immediately set out to say, how do I get out to that branch? I talked to our HR department, and the HR department said, oh, lucky you. The branch manager from Portland, Oregon is going to be in here doing some interviews looking for people to go to his branch. You can just interview for that job. I thought, oh, see, I set this goal, doors open, piece of cake, this is awesome. I interviewed with that branch manager. And, he listened to me for about an hour. And we laughed. And he just laughed at me. And he said, Bruce, he's like, I will never hire you in my branch. In fact, I don't think you will ever get hired in any branch. I don't know how you got the job that you have. You have no experience. You have a degree in English. Nobody's going to listen to you. You're 23 years old. No one's going to take investment advice from you. I will never hire you. I think you should just feel lucky that you even have a job. Well, that didn't make me feel very good about myself, but it motivated me. It changed me. I said, baloney. But I did listen to him, and he taught me something. I needed some experience. So I went and got it. I started looking around our company to figure out how could I get this experience that I so needed. And I found out there was a team where they trained you on all the different products. And because you were trained on all the products, the branch managers invited people from these teams to come out and fill in when they had openings because people were on vacation. So I went to my manager and said, how do I get on that team? And he said, you can't. You haven't been here long enough. You have to be here 6 months before you can be considered for that team. But that team was expanding and they were hiring. And I said, can you make me an exception, please? I'll do anything. And he said, let me see what I could do. And he helped me. I asked him to help me learn to interview, help me learn how to get past the fact that I don't have this experience. And he taught me, and I learned. And I got on this team. And the second I got hired on this team, I went to the manager of that team and I said, how do I get out to the branch? He said, oh, that's easy. Just go talk to HR. That day, I went and talked to HR. And I said, HR, how do I get out to the branch? They said, just put your name on this list. And when we have branches call us, we'll let you know. That was on a Friday. Saturday morning, I got a call from Human Resources saying there was a branch in Palo Alto, California, that had an emergency with one of their people and they needed somebody that could go right now. I said, I can do it. I had a family wedding on Sunday that I was going to miss if I left. I missed that wedding because my goal was so important to me. So I went, and I knew that if I could get out to this branch and they could just see me work, that they would like me. Now, what I haven't told you is my wife thought I was crazy through all this. And she basically said, okay, to appease you, I'll tell you, I'll move anywhere in the West as long as it's not California. Well, you know what happened. I went out to that branch. I worked there for 2 weeks. The branch manager loved me, of course. She offered me a job. I had to go home and tell my wife that I had a job offer in California, making less money than I was making in Salt Lake City. I must have been a good salesperson, because I'm not sure how I convinced her, but she finally acquiesced and said, fine, let's go. And we went, and to make a long story short, after a year, I was offered the financial representative, and the year I turned 25, I made over $100,000 personally. So I'm here to tell you, you can do it. Any dream, any goal that you can believe and think of in your mind, you can achieve. And that's what I want you to do. As you set your goals for 2016, think about these 3 things. Be passionate, go big, and give yourself a deadline. And I promise you, it will change your life.